Okay.
Good morning, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Afan Qasim, and I'll be your host for today's research workshop we conducted at the Department of Neurosurgery, UPMC. Like all good things, let's begin this day with the recitation of few verses from the Holy Quran. I would like to call Ashif Sarfraz for that.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العظيم.
Subhanallah. To welcome you all and to discuss the importance of research, I would like to invite someone who himself has numerous researchers in his name, our head of department, supervisor and mentor, Professor Lal Rahman, to kindly come on stage and enlighten us with his research.
आप लोग साथ बैठे दूर दूर नहीं बैठे Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We have arranged a workshop on a very important topic, that is research work. And research work is very important in the medical field. So today we will discuss about the various aspects of research, how it is done, how to write a paper, and how it should be published. There will be also a refreshment for new people. So hopefully that it will be beneficial for us. Why we have arranged this research workshop? Because we do a lot of work. We do our duties, we admit patients, we see them in OPDs, we manage them, we treat them, we operate them. Some have good results, some have bad results, but we should know and we should document all these things. So when these are documented, then we should write papers about our patients, and it will be beneficial for us presently as well as in our future and for our next generation as well. So that is why we arrange this workshop. And you know that nowadays through CBSP as well, we are writing dissertation as well as we are writing papers. So if you write dissertation, that has no value. But if you write 2 papers, so that will be added in your CV. No one has written any dissertation in their CV, but we just write papers. So that is why we should know how research is done and how the papers are published, so that we may improve our medical career. So my presentation is about the importance of research and research process. So why research is important? So we will discuss about these things. Okay, what is research? Research is a process used to collect and analyze information to increase our understanding of a topic or issue. And what we should discuss, any topic, suppose I will discuss about extradural hematoma. So we should know about the extradural hematoma. And if we know more about it, that will increase our understanding. So that will not only be beneficial for us, but also for the patients. Now, there are some steps in the research. First is that pose a question. Suppose a patient comes to us and the patient has dilated pupil. So why it is dilated? It's a question. Then we should collect data to answer this question. And for that, we should search the literature. We should know कि people dilated क्यों हो रहा है. और जब भी हमें आंसर उसका मिले, so that should be published. और इस आंसर को हम रिसर्च करेंगे, ठीक है? So research में any question, any hypothesis, any idea which comes in our mind, we should know about that. We should learn from books. We should learn from the literature. And when we find solution for that particular problem, for that issue, then we can discuss and we can publish. So research में पहले idea आए, फिर काम करें, जब आपको मिले कुछ दिन publish it. What is the aims and objectives of research? हम क्यों कर रहे हैं? To find out the truth which is hidden. यानी we don't know कि what is the cause of dilated pupil in trauma patient. So we should know about the facts that why it is dilated. And for that, to serve the society by solving social problems. ये जो general बातें हैं, but we will discuss about research of the medical writing in medical field to develop new scientific method, concept and theories to solve the scientific and non-scientific problems. So for this dilated people, we should know the scientific way, we should know the mechanism, we should know the all the issues around this particular topic. So इसीलिए हमारा मकसद ये होता है कि हम ये चीजें सीख लें to discover new things and test the existing facts. जो भी आप कर रहे हैं, we should know about the facts about that thing and to get research degree for better employment and promotion. और ये जो चीजें, that is very, very important. If you go anywhere for any interviews, तो क्या करते हैं? They will know कि आपकी publication क्या है. And what type of publication you have. So जिसकी पेपर ज्यादा है, जिसकी अलग क्वालिटी की पेपर है, that person is selected. तो the importance of these papers will be there when we appear in any interviews. तो वहाँ पे देखते हैं, compare करते हैं कि किसके पेपर ज्यादा है. So this thing is very, very important. Why research is important? To build knowledge and facilitate learning, to understand issues and increase public awareness, to disprove lies and support the truths. And there are some things which are not true, so we should know कि बाकी ये चीजें true है कि नहीं है. So for that we should know. And to find and seize opportunities, it promotes a love of and confidence in reading, writing, analyzing, and sharing valuable information. यानी आप लोगों ने देखा होगा, those people who have more papers, who are more involved in research. So this is just like the poetry नहीं, तो उनकी involvement और बढ़ती है, and whenever you sit with them, they will always discuss about the research. So एक तो ये है कि इसमें आपकी जो confidence है वो बढ़ती है, and then जो writing है, sharing the valuable information, सारी चीज़ इसमें आती हैं, and to nourish for the nourishment and exercise of your mind. So those person who has more research, when we write anything about any particular topic, so what we do, that we go to the literature, we get more information, and when a person has more information, he has more value. तो आपने देखा होगा, when we talk about anything, if you have more information, one is always quiet and he's not saying anything. So if you have knowledge, and knowledge comes only by reading the books, by reading literature, इसके बगैर आपको हवा में कभी knowledge नहीं आ सकती, और उसके लिए मेहनत करनी पड़ती है. तो इसमें a person who is knowledgeable, who has more knowledge, he will have more value among the friends, among the colleagues, anywhere. Research is vital for the progress of modern medicine. Without research, we cannot have any success. We cannot have any progress. New discoveries are being uncovered every day, which are influencing medical practice. आप देख रहे हैं कि कहाँ से चीजें कहाँ तक पहुँच गई ना? यानी पहले MRI नहीं था, CT scan चीजें नहीं थी. So लोग सिर्फ the people used to operate even trauma and angiography. Midline shift है vessels की बस yes there is something wrong. Nowadays you know CT scan है MRI है क्या-क्या चीज आ रही. So these things are only available because of research. मुफ्त में तो नहीं है, लोगों ने काम किया इस पे ना. It can provide important information about disease trends, and risk factors, outcome of treatment, or public health interventions, functional abilities, pattern of care, healthcare cost and use, comparing and improving the use of drugs, vaccines, medical devices, and diagnostics. Research is not only to know the dilated people or to know about the clinical things. So we should know about many things. Har field ki apni research hai. So about the medicine, about the drugs, about the treatment, about the different surgical approaches. So by pituitary hai, which one is good? Whether should I go subfrontal? Uski kya fayde hai, kya nuksan hai? Why TRN is important? When to go for the transphenidal? When to go for the any other approach? So all these things. And the importance of these things is possible only and only because of the research work. The people have done a lot of work on these things, and after that they have selected particular approaches. ये मुफ्त में तो नहीं है कि भाई बंदे ने बस ख्वाब देख लिया और सुबह उसने सफरंटल अप्रोच करी, सर नहीं है. What is the general purpose of research? To satisfy the curiosities, any questions, any confusion that is cleared. To solve the problems, to collect the facts, and to contribute knowledge. Without research work, without knowing the details of any particular issue, we cannot have these benefits. We cannot have the facts, we cannot solve the problems, and we cannot contribute our knowledge. And the main purpose of medical research is to prevent, cure, and treat disease and related human conditions, and make the lives of our patients better. अच्छा, दूसरी important चीज है why we do these things. ये जो इतना research लोग क्यों कर रहे हैं, ये वर्कशॉप हमने क्यों अरेंज किए हैं, and why we are interested to know about the dilated people, why we are interested to know about the MRI, why we are interested to know about the CT scan. हमारा मकसद क्या होता है, क्यों करते हैं हम? जी नहीं, क्यों करते हैं हम ये सारी चीज, क्यों, क्या आफत आ गई हम न्यूट्रिशन करते क्यों? यानी हमारा मेन मकसद क्या होता है, हमारी जिंदगी का मकसद क्या है? जितने हम बैठे हैं, हमारा अभी मकसद तो यानी हम जो न्यूरोसर्जरी में हम वापस कोई ड्राइवर्स या कोई दुकानदार या कोई काश्तकार तो नहीं बन सके ना, किसी और फील्ड में भी नहीं जा सकते. तो हम क्यों ये कर रहे हैं? The main purpose is to know. And all this exercise is moving around the patient. तो अगर आप जो ना एक्स्ट्राड्यूरल हेमाटोमा के बारे में मालूम करना चाहते हैं, तो आपका मकसद क्या होता है कि भाई इसका फायदा क्या होगा मरीज के लिए? हम जितने इधर बैठे हैं, यानी घर बार छोड़ के सारे काम छोड़ के हम इधर आ रहे, क्यों आ रहे हैं? मरीज के लिए आ रहे हैं. अगर इस हॉस्पिटल से मरीजों को निकाल देंगे तो क्या आप इधर आएंगे? आप किसी और बिल्डिंग में क्यों नहीं जा रहे? आप किसी और जगह क्यों नहीं जा रहे? तो आप सिर्फ मरीजों के लिए आ रहे हैं. So this whole exercise is just for the patients. If we have good research, if we have good things, if we have more knowledge, if we have developed new things, so all these things will give direct and indirect benefit to the patients. तो ये सारा काम हमारा सिर्फ मरीजों के लिए. Okay. अब research, how it is done, all these things will be discussed in the coming lectures. So इसमें ये जो चीज दी गई है, इसमें सबसे पहले है कि identify the problem. Why the people is dilated? Patient का people dilated होता है, एक problem है ना. तो इसके लिए क्या करना होगा? We should know. We should go to the literature. We should read the books. We should go to the other sources to know why people is dilated. उसके बाद क्या होगा? यानी हमने एक आपकी जहन में क्वेश्चन आता है और एक ऑब्जेक्टिव्स बनती है जो कभी डिस्कस होंगे. And for that आपने एक स्टडी डिजाइन बनाना होता है, और सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज है कि लिटरेचर के थ्रू सारी चीज करनी होती है. और जब आपका एक डिजाइन बन जाए तो उसके ऊपर क्या करना होता है, आपको एक सैंपल साइज ले लेते हैं कि इतने पेशेंट्स में ये काम कर लूँ, मेरे पास 100 पेशेंट्स हैं, सबकी पीपल डायलेटेड हो रहे, तो सब में वी शुड नो अबाउट द काज कि भाई क्या वजह है, ठीक है। और डेटा कलेक्शन होती है, उसके बाद एनालाइज होता है और आप पेपर लिखते हैं। सो पेपर की जो कंपोनेंट्स हैं जो रिसर्च के हैं कि व्हेन एन आइडिया कम्स इन योर माइंड, व्हेन यू थिंक अबाउट एनी प्रॉब्लम, सो फॉर दैट यू शुड नो अबाउट दैट पर्टिकुलर प्रॉब्लम। एंड उसके लिए आप एक स्टडी डिजाइन करते हैं, एक आपके जहन में एक आइडिया आता है कि मुझे क्या करना है, और उसके बाद आप एक जब स्टडी कलेक्ट करते हैं, then that is analyzed and the results are when available, these are published. So that is research process. Okay, so identify the problem. वही मिलके वही people dilate क्यों हो रहे हैं सारे, क्योंकि we don't know about the why people is dilated. तो ये एक प्रॉब्लम है कि आप जिस मरीज को देख रहे हैं, अक्सर पेशेंट हमारे पास आते हैं, when people is dilated. So we should know, and suppose we are just new in the neurosurgery और सब बैठे हैं कि भाई there are some patients and the one people is dilated. So that is an issue, problem है, हमें देखना है कि भाई ये क्यों हो रहा है. So that is our topic, that is issue, that is question. और यहाँ से रिसर्च आगे शुरू होगा, ठीक है। फिर उसके लिए है कि भाई people dilatation के causes क्या है. We are just new, we don't know about neurosurgery, तो आपके लिए इसके लिए क्या करना होगा, you should go to the books, किताब पढ़ें, लिटरेचर पढ़ें, आप नेट पे जाएं कि भाई ट्रॉमा के पेशेंट में पीपल डायलेट क्यों होता है। आप देख रहे हैं कि हर तीसरी चौथे पेशेंट में पीपल डायलेटेड है, व्हाई इट इज डायलेटेड, सो फॉर दैट वी शुड नो, वी शुड हैव नॉलेज। जब आपके जहन में काफी सारी चीजें आती हैं तो उसके बाद क्या है, क्वेश्चंस बनते हैं आपके जहन में, और इसमें इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है ऑब्जेक्टिव्स। अगर आपके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ठीक है तो आपका बाकी काम स्मूथली जाएगा। An objective will precisely say that what should be researched. अब people dilated हो रहे हैं तो इसमें हमें क्या देखना है कि आया रीजन देखना चाहते हैं हम, या इसका मैकेनिज्म देखना चाहते हैं, या इसका रिलेशनशिप किस चीज से देखना चाहते हैं। So that is your objective. We should to know about the cause of dilated people in trauma patients. ये आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव बनता है। या ये भी अगर आपको नॉलेज और भी है तो ये भी किसी की रिलेशनशिप ऑफ एनी मिडलाइन शिफ्ट विद द डायलेटेड पीपल, the relationship of any contusion or any subdural hematoma or any temporal lesion with the dilated people. तो ये आपके जहन में चीज आती है कि भाई there might be some cause with midline shift, there might be some relationship with the lesion in the temporal region. तो इस relationship को प्रूफ करने के लिए आपके जहन में एक आइडिया आता है, that is objective. ठीक है। और फिर hypothesis is an unproven statement or proposition that can be refuted or supported by empirical data. फिर आपके जहन में की जाते हैं कि यस, अगर टेम्पोरल रीजन में कोई एक्स्ट्राड्यूरल या सबड्यूरल हेमाटोमा है, दैट कैन लीड टू डायलेटेड पीपल। ये आपके जहन में हाइपोथेसिस आ गया। इट कैन बी ट्रू और इट कैन बी रॉन्ग। तो इसी को प्रूफ करने के लिए, अनप्रूफ करने के लिए आपने फर्दर काम करना है, ठीक है। फिर स्टडी डिजाइन होता है, यानी आप जो स्टडी कर रहे हैं तो इसका डिजाइन कौन सा है, किस किस्म की स्टडी, आप डिस्क्रिप्टिव स्टडी कर रहे हैं, आप न्यू काम कर रहे हैं, यानी आप एक्सपेरिमेंटल स्टडी कर रहे हैं। अगर आप देखें तो हमारा जो क्रैश वाला स्टडी था जिसमें ट्रांसमिन दे रही थी, ये एक्सपेरिमेंटल टाइप स्टडी थी कि आया उसका इसके साथ कोई रिलेशनशिप है कि नहीं है। इस तरह अगर आपको इफ यू कलेक्ट डेटा अबाउट मेनी पेशेंट्स विदाउट एनी इंटरवेंशन, जिस तरह आप डायलेटेड पीपल के बारे में एक्स्ट्राड्यूरल हेमाटोमा और डायलेटेड पीपल का क्या ताल्लुक है, तो एक डिस्क्रिप्टिव टाइप चीज होगी। So we should know about the study design. तो पेपर राइटिंग में दो चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट हैं, वन इज ऑब्जेक्टिव एंड अदर इज डिजाइन। और ये चीज तब आती है जब आप लिटरेचर रिव्यू कर लीजिए, जब आप पेपर्स पढ़े मुख्तलिफ लोगों की, तो उसके बाद फिर आपको समझ आ जाती है चीजों की। डिसाइडिंग ऑन द सैंपल डिजाइन, सैंपल साइज क्या रख ले, किस तरह रखना होता है, ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा, जो लोग आप ये साइन ऑफ से देखते हैं। सो अगेन, यानी आप तो पूरे मुल्क पे तो आप स्टडी नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन इसमें आप सिलेक्टेड लोग लेंगे ना, तो जितने मकदार में लोग लेंगे दैट इज सैंपल साइज, एंड दैट शुड बी अकॉर्डिंग टू द पर्टिकुलर इशू कि भाई डायलेटेड पीपल के कितने पेशेंट्स आते हैं। अगर पेशेंट ज्यादा आते होते हैं उमूमन तो उसमें आपकी साइज बढ़ सकती है, अगर कम है तो आप कम पेशेंट ले सकते हैं। एंड डेटा कलेक्शन, हाउ डेटा इज कलेक्टेड, सो डेटा कैन बी कलेक्टेड थ्रू मेनी मीन्स, लेकिन हम क्या करते हैं, हम प्रोफार्मा बनाते हैं, क्वेश्चनर सा होता है, and that is filled. इसमें पेशेंट की हिस्ट्री से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन होंगे, there will be question related to the examination findings, then the CT finding, then the outcome finding, they will be collected. इसके अलावा और भी कलेक्शन है, जिस तरह पेशेंट जब डिस्चार्ज होता है एंड दैट इज नॉट कमिंग टू ओपीडी, तो उसके लिए हम क्या करते हैं, फोन नंबर होता है एंड यू कैन कलेक्ट सम इंफॉर्मेशन थ्रू फोन। अब उसको फोन करते हैं, सर कलेक्ट करते हैं, या एंड आगे किसी और से भी लोग डेटा लेते हैं, मुख्तलिफ किसी और बंदे ने कलेक्ट की है तो उसका भी आप साथ शेयर हो सकता है। सो देयर आर मेनी वेज हाउ टू कलेक्ट डेटा, लेकिन हम जो करते हैं, हम क्या करते हैं, थ्रू प्रोफार्मा क्वेश्चनियर, उसके थ्रू हम करते हैं। फिर उसके बाद प्रोसेसिंग होती है और एनालाइज होता है। तो फिर ये जो डॉक्टर्स के लिए ये चीज जरा मुश्किल होती है कि हाउ इट इज एनालाइज। इसके लिए मुख्तलिफ टूल्स हैं, जिसमें एसपीसीएस आजकल कौन सा वर्जन चल रहा है, 24 चल रहा है। लेकिन इसमें इंपॉर्टेंट चीज जो है, अपने डेटा उस पर डालना है, क्या कहते हैं उसको, एसपीसीएस पे डालना है। उसके बगैर आपके ये सारे टेस्ट अप्लाई नहीं हो सकते। आप जब भी किसी स्टैटिस्टिकल ऑफिसर के पास जाते हैं, सो ऑलवेज दे विल आस्क यू डेटा किधर है। आप तो अपने काफी फॉर्म जमा करी होंगी, लेकिन ये नहीं चलते, आपने एसपीसीएस पे डालना है तब ये चीजें होंगी। तो ये कलेक्शन का प्रोसेसिंग का तरीका है कि एसपीसीएस पे डाल के देन अप्लाई एनी पर्टिकुलर टेस्ट। जो हमारे यहाँ कौन से टेस्ट देना होते हैं, काई स्क्वायर, काई और दूसरा टी टेस्ट और मुख्तलिफ चीजें होते हैं। वी शुड नो अबाउट दिस 2-3 टेस्ट। और उसके बाद जब आपने सारी चीजें की, तो ये जो हम लिखते हैं ना, ये क्या कहते हैं, एक साइनॉप्सिस जो शुरू में लिखते हैं, साइनॉप्सिस किस तरह लिखते हैं, दैट इज ऑलवेज रिटन इन द फ्यूचर फॉर्म। साइनॉप्सिस के लिए इस तरह है कि भाई आपके जहन में एक चीज आ गई एंड यू वांट टू वर्क ऑन दैट पर्टिकुलर इशू, तो आप कहें कि भाई मैं इस तरह काम करूंगा, यानी आई विल, दिस विल बी माय टॉपिक, दिस विल बी माय ऑब्जेक्टिव, द स्टडी डिजाइन विल बी दिस मच, दिस नंबर ऑफ पेशेंट विल बी देयर, and I will collect the data through Proforma and I will process it through the SPSS and जो भी वर्जन चलता है उसका। और उसके बाद तो ये अपने फ्यूचर में किया। लेकिन पेपर में हमारा क्या बनता है, हमारा एब्स्ट्रैक्ट लिखते हैं। एंड एब्स्ट्रैक्ट इज रिटन आफ्टर यू हैव कलेक्टेड ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन, आफ्टर यू हैव प्रोसेस्ड ऑल दीज थिंग्स। क्योंकि एब्स्ट्रैक्ट एक खुलासा होता है, खुलासा तब आप लिखेंगे जब आपने काम पूरा किया, जब आपने काम, हालांकि इट इज रिटन एट द स्टार्ट ऑफ द पेपर बट इट इज डिजाइन्ड एट द एंड ऑफ द पेपर। जब आप सारी चीजें की उसके बाद फिर आप डिजाइन कर सकते हैं। सो एट द एंड आई विल अगेन डिस्कस एंड से अबाउट द इम्पोर्टेंस। सो व्हाई रिसर्च इज इम्पोर्टेंट, इट इज फॉर satisfaction of answering important questions which will improve the health of our patients। यानी आपके जहन में जो भी इशू आ जाए, जो भी टॉपिक के बारे में क्वेश्चन आ जाए, सो दैट इज योर टॉपिक फॉर रिसर्च। स्टेटस ऑफ रिसर्चर्स इस तरह बता दिया, स्किल्स की एडवांसमेंट होती है, प्रोफेशनल एडवांसमेंट होती है, और सैलरी एंड जॉब सिक्योरिटी। सो हमारे लिए भी इम्पोर्टेंट है। आजकल देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ कंपटीशन। अब जब भी जाते हैं वहाँ पे सीटें 2-3 होती हैं और लोग 40-50 आए होते हैं, तो उसमें वैल्यू उस बंदी की है जिसकी रिसर्च वर्क ज्यादा है। और रिसर्च वर्क आखिर में नहीं होता, ये अगर आप अभी से स्टार्ट करेंगे तो चीज़ें आपकी ऐड होंगी। जब आप कंसल्टेंट बनेंगे तो आपके पास काफ़ी रिसर्च वर्क होगा। So, inshallah, we will discuss many related and important topics of this research work in the coming lectures. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was quite insightful indeed. Now, to discuss types of research articles and study design, I would like to call the Prime Board to share his knowledge with us.
Assalamualaikum to all of you. Today we are going to discuss about the types of researches and study designs. Yeah. So today we are going to discuss about the types of researches and study designs. So first of all, starting with the definition of research. So what is research? Research is a systematized effort to gain new knowledge. Means research is all about gaining new knowledge, but we have to follow a particular systematized pattern to reach a conclusion, to reach a result, and that will be called as research. So starting with the type of research, on the basis of this is a classification. On the basis of application, we have basic research and applied research. We are going to discuss about what are these. Then on the basis of purpose, we have descriptive, analytic, exploratory, and evaluation research. Then on the basis of methods, we have quantitative and quantitative research. So what is basic research? Basic research is all about we are going to investigate the basic reasons and principles behind the occurrence of a particular phenomenon. Means basic research is all about our curiosity. Means I have a principle about something and I am going to search about it. I am going to enhance my knowledge. So basic research is all about enhancing our knowledge about some phenomena which is happening and we have curiosity about the phenomena. So it is driven by pure curiosity. For example, you all know what Isaac Newton. So an apple fell on his head and he started thinking why it is falling on the ground. And that question generated in his mind, which was his curiosity, and he started researching about it. So that leads to the development of gravity. That we have the gravity, which is actually causing the feet fall from the tree to the ground. So this is all about basic research. Then applied research. Applied research is about finding a solution to a particular problem. So, for example, there is a situation going on which is COVID-19 right now. We started in 2019 December. So what we did, we developed COVID vaccination, different types of vaccination to prevent it. So we had a problem, and to solve this problem, we did a certain type of research, and the research which we used to solve the problem is known as the applied research. Applied research actually generates from the basic research. What we do, we have a question in our mind and we are doing a research about it. So after gaining the knowledge, enhancing the knowledge, we know what's our question. So that question leads to the formation of the research, and then we perform it to either generate something or generate, for example, we generated a COVID vaccination, and that vaccination is right now helping us to help means fight the COVID vaccination. So these are the two basic types of on the basis of application, basic research and applied research. Then we have descriptive versus analytic research. These two types of research are very important. Descriptive research is about what, and analytic research is about why. Means we are going to ask ourselves a question: then why means what are the facts related to this research, and then we are going to give the answer that why is it happening. Now, to understand it, we have to see some examples. For example, these are all in this figure you can see, and there are many people, and one thing which is common, all these people are disabled in some way. किसी की टांग का समस्या है, किसी की हाथ समस्या है, and all these people are disabled. So, descriptive study. In descriptive study, we are going to find out how many disabled people face social isolation. For example, there are 100 people, we have included 100 people in our research, all of them are disabled, and we are going to find out how many people are isolated, socially isolated. For example, 60 people are isolated. So, this study has generated in our mind a question that there are disabled people, and most of them are socially isolated. Now, we are going to find a reason. And the reason is the analytical study. So descriptive study generates the question and analytical study gives the answer of why. In the same way, what is the unemployment rate for disabled people? So we have found out that it is very high. So then we are going to give the answer why it is happening. So why do disabled people have a harder time finding first? And if we find the answer, this is the analytical study. So these are two types of study: descriptive and analytical. Descriptive gives us a question. As Professor Larman said, we have to pose a question. So the question is posed by this descriptive study, and the answer is given by an analytical study. And then we have exploratory research. Now, when a loosely defined issue is looked into through research, it is known as exploratory research. Means there's a topic about which there is very little knowledge. Now we are going to find more about it, and in that pattern of research in which we are going to find about more about that topic is known as the exploratory research. Now, when you find more about the topic about which little known, many questions will arise, and it will generate many researches. So this is a very important topic. This is a very important part of the research, exploratory research. Then there is another thing which is known as the evaluation research. Now, what is evaluation research? In evaluation research, we are measuring, means we are going to measure how effective our specific program or strategy is. For example, in government hospitals, the infection rate is very high. So we have posed a question that in government hospitals, the infection rate among any surgical unit is high. So we are going to produce a strategy. One of the strategies is that many people wear OT dresses outside the OT operating theaters. So what we are going to implement, that no one will wear the OT dress outside the operating theater. Now we are going to compare the infection rate before this intervention and after this intervention, and this is known as the. And then we are going to see whether this strategy, which we have adopted, is effective or not. And this is known as the evaluation research. So these are the four basic type of research on the basis of purpose: descriptive, analytical, exploratory, and evaluation research. Then there are two types of research on the basis of methods, which is known as the qualitative research and the quantitative research. So qualitative research is about a certain quality of something. For example, in this and quantitative research is about quantity. So for example, in this example, you can see that the flower is yellow color. So what is the quality of the flower? It is yellow color. And in what is the quantity? 1 leaf is 7 centimeters. So in qualitative research, we are seeing the quality of something, and in quantitative research, we are going to quantify the things. These are the examples of research, or type of research on the basis of methods. Now there are different study designs which we utilize to reach our goal. Means we know what the type of research is. We can pose a question. I have in the beginning said that what is research? Research is actually a systematized process in which you reach a conclusion. So what you have to do, you have to pose a question. So you must know how to pose a question. Means you have to generate a hypothesis. Then you must know how to answer the hypothesis and how to test the hypothesis. So these are the study designs which are going to tell you how to generate a question, how to answer the question. So in epidemiological study designs, we have descriptive and analytical studies. In descriptive studies, we have case report, case series, and descriptive epidemiology. Now, this is the study which is going to generate a question. Means which is going to generate the hypothesis. And the analytical study is the study which is going to answer whether your hypothesis is correct or not. How? Now, what are the before we move toward that, we have to understand this thing again. Time frame of studies. Now, there are two time frames of studies: prospective and retrospective. What do I mean by prospective? Means I am starting the study in the present time and the answer will be given in the future. मतलब मैं अभी study start करूँगा और मुझे future में इसका answer मिलेगा. For example, मैंने 100 patients लिए और वो सब के सब जो है स्मोकर, उन्होंने स्मोकिंग आज स्टार्ट की, for example. तो उनको लंग कैंसर डेवलप होगा या नहीं होगा 10 से 15 साल के बाद मैं चेक करा. So this is known as the prospective study. Means I am starting the study in the present and the study will be done in the future. While in the retrospective study, I am starting the study in the present and I am going to find the answer from the past. How? Means I have 100 patients who have lung cancer. Now I am going to find out in their previous history whether they were smokers or not. So I am starting the study in the present and then going backward. This is known as the rate of value study. Now, study design, as I told you, that case reports, case series, which are the type of the descriptive studies, they are going to give you the hypothesis. And then the analytical study is going to give you the answer whether your hypothesis is correct or not. Now, descriptive studies versus analytical studies. So, descriptive studies describes the occurrence of the outcome, and the analytical study is giving you the relationship between the exposure and outcome. Means this is the exposure and this is the outcome. In here, you are generating your hypothesis, and then here you are generating the relationship between the exposure and the result. So, what is case report? Case report is a one case of unusual finding. For example, I am starting with the one example, and I will move with this example until next. For example, a clinician is working in some remote area, and he is seeing patients with blood. He is seeing many patients, but some of the patients came to him with bladder cancer. Now he asked that where did you work? Means he had some questions in his mind. He asked, उसने उनसे पूछा कि आप लोग क्या करते हैं? तो उन्हें पता चला कि भाई जो ज़्यादातर ब्लैडर कैंसर के पेशेंट्स थे वो रबर इंडस्ट्री में काम करते हैं। तो उसके दिमाग में क्वेश्चन जनरेट हुआ। तो मीन्स उसने केस रिपोर्ट किया कि द पेशेंट हु हैज कम टू मी विद अ ब्लैडर कैंसर एंड ही इज वर्किंग इन अ रबर इंडस्ट्री। सो ही हैज रिपोर्टेड एन अनयूजुअल फाइंडिंग। Then with the passage of time 6 महीने 8 महीने के बाद क्या हुआ? उसके पास और पेशेंट आए, 1 साल के बाद उसके पास और पेशेंट आए, 10-12 पेशेंट हो। उसने कहा, जब हमने उससे पूछा कि क्लिनिशियन ने उनसे पूछा कि यार आप लोगों को आप कहाँ काम करते हैं? तो उन्होंने बताया हम रबर इंडस्ट्री में डिफरेंट रबर इंडस्ट्री में काम करते हैं। तो उसके दिमाग में हाइपोथेसिस है, उसने हाइपोथेसिस दी। एंड व्हाट वाज द हाइपोथेसिस? ये ब्लैडर कैंसर इज एसोसिएटेड विद रबर इंडस्ट्री एक्सपोजर। सो अब हाइपोथेसिस कैसे जनरेट हुई? विद द हेल्प ऑफ केस रिपोर्ट एंड केस स्टडीज। This is so actually the descriptive study is generating the question. Now I have generated a question. I am a clinician and I have generated the hypothesis in my mind that the bladder cancer is associated with the industry exposure. Now I am going to move towards the analytical study. Analytical study is mainly of two types: experimental and observational. And in observational study we have case process study, cohort study, and case control study. Now, what is I have told you about the time differences: prospective study, retrospective study. So, the cohort study is mainly prospective study, the case control study is mainly retrospective study, and the prospective study is the present study. What do I mean by this? Means I have the patients who have the disease. I have the and I am going to ask them whether they were exposed or not. Means all the study is done in a certain point of time in the present, not in the past, not in the future. I am going to find the answer in the present. Then in cohort studies, I have population which is free of the disease. Now I am going to see whether they will develop the disease in the future or not, as I have already told you. So here I will divide the patients into those who were exposed to the something means rubber, for example, जो rubber industry में लोग काम कर रहे हैं वो exposed हुए। अब मेरे पास जो है OPD के अंदर 100 पेशेंट है। 100 पेशेंट में से जितने भी पेशेंट्स थे ब्लैडर कैंसर के, मैंने उन सबको चेक किया। जितने भी पेशेंट मेरे पास आए मैंने उनसे बातचीत की जिन्होंने ब्लैडर कैंसर निकाला। अब मैंने उनसे बातचीत करना स्टार्ट की और मैंने एक डेटा कलेक्ट किया कि मैंने है ना उन पेशेंट्स को चेक किया कि जो कि रबर इंडस्ट्री में जाते हैं, उन पेशेंट्स को देखा जो रबर इंडस्ट्री में जाते हैं। और विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम मैंने नोट किया कि किन लोगों में ब्लैडर कैंसर डेवलप हो रहा है। मींस इन द फ्यूचर ऐसा कि यार मेरे पास 1000 पेशेंट थे, 1000 में से 500 मैंने वो पेशेंट किए जो कि रबर इंडस्ट्री में काम नहीं करते थे, और 500 पेशेंट मैंने वो लिए जो कि रबर इंडस्ट्री में काम करते हैं। तो अब क्या हुआ कि फ्यूचर में 15 साल के बाद, फॉर एग्जांपल या 10 साल के बाद मुझे पता चला कि यार जो 500 पेशेंट जो एक्सपोज नहीं हुए उनमें से सिर्फ 1-2 को ब्लैडर कैंसर डेवलप हुआ, लेकिन जो 500 पेशेंट एक्सपोज हुए थे उसमें 50% हुआ, मींस 10% लोगों को ब्लैडर कैंसर डेवलप हुआ। तो इस कोहॉर्ट स्टडी से मुझे ये अंदाजा हुआ, ये कोहॉर्ट स्टडी है, बहुत टाइम लगता है। तो इससे मुझे ये अंदाजा हुआ कि there is a relationship between the rubber industry exposure and the ब्लैडर कैंसर। Now in case control studies, patients मेरे पास आ रहे हैं, they have ब्लैडर कैंसर। Now I am going to dig out the report कि यार इन्होंने कहाँ पहले काम किया, और जब मुझे रिपोर्ट में चेक करना तो मुझे पता चलेगा यार इन लोगों ने पहले रबर इंडस्ट्री में काम किया था या इन्होंने नहीं किया था। तो क्या होगा, एक रिलेशनशिप establish हो जाएगा between the exposure and the disease. This is known as the case control study. So in analytical study, we have established a relationship between exposure and the disease. In descriptive studies, I generated a question. In analytical studies, I have developed a connection between these two things, exposure and the disease. And finally, in experimental studies, I am going to experiment. Right now, अब मेरे पास क्या exposure controlment. अब मैं जो है exposure को control कर सकता हूँ. लेकिन experimental studies आपको हम humans पे studies नहीं करते. तो लेकिन ये है कि दूसरे organisms के ऊपर हम ये studies कर सकते हैं कि हम उनको expose करके देखेंगे तो कितने लोगों कितने में कोशिश डेवलप है कितने में डेवलप नहीं. So this is known as the experimental studies. तो इन experimental studies स्टडी पॉपुलेशन को हमने एक्सपेरिमेंट करती है जिन पे हमने इंटरवेंशन की और जिस पर हमने इंटरवेंशन नहीं. तो इंटरवेंशन एंड किस लोगों में हम लोगों को आउटकम मिला मतलब जिसमें हमने इंटरवेंशन की या फॉर एग्जांपल हमने एक्सपोज किया तो या तो उनमें से कितने लोगों में डिजीज हुआ और जो के कंट्रोल पेशेंट्स थे उनमें से कितने लोगों को डिजीज हुआ. तो दिस इज नोन एज द एक्सपेरिमेंटल स्टडी.
Thank you, Dr. Raju. That was quite informative. Next, I would like to call Dr. Serish Altaf to discuss on literature search and introduction. Was quite informative. Next, I would like to call Serish Altaf to discuss on literature search and introduction.
Assalamu alaikum. So I'm going to present. My name is Dr. Faisal and I'm going to present how to do literature search and to write a good introduction to your article. So first of all, what is exactly a literature review? The literature review is the selection of available documents and effective evaluation of these documents. Research these reports means we are going to utilize the available researches to analyze these researches and transform our and to give a structure to our own research. So literature review gives an overview of existing literature in a field, often identifying specific problems or issues and analyzing information from available published work on a topic. So it analyzes specific issues, it identifies trends in the researches, and it finds out the research gap in the existing literature. The evidence will be found in both journals, different government documents, and the internet. So how to plan your literature? First of all, define the topic. For defining the topic, you will just general reading and prepare a list of terms. Then think about the scope. What will be the time frame? How long the research should be done? So how far back you have to go for a literature review? Think about the outcomes. What if you want to get out of that research? Then think about the management. How are you going to manage those research results? And then plan the sources to research. You will list and sequence of research to formulate your literature review. So how to work with the research? You find it, you manage it, then use it, and then review it. For finding it, know the literature type, use available resources, chart your research skills, then manage it, read efficiency, keep track of these references, and write relevant and patient relevant points. Then use it, choose your research topic. Then develop your hypothesis, then your motion. Then argue over the rationale and design a method. Then you review it. Understand the purpose of literature review. Ensure the adequate coverage, write purposefully, and work on the style and the tone. So this is basically the model to how to do your literature review, literature study. You find it, then manage it, and use it, and then review it for to formulate your article. So where to search? We have a lot of sources to search for. We have review traffic, there are details which we want to use as PubMed. We have Scopus, we have Science, we have Dimension, Science. We have fund text databases where it's actually the individual journals, and we have Google Scholar. So this is the most commonly used website we use. This is PubMed. On official website, you have search option, and there we can type your story of interest and keyword you want to search for. So this is an example. I wrote a management on post-surgical management. We have 89 results. On the extreme left of your screen, you can see different options. This is for customization. You can customize your search results into the word. You can set the year you want to search for. You can search for abstract or full text. You can also customize it to the article type. The type of article you want to search for. And also you can set the publication date you have or how far you want to do. Either 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, or you can also customize it. So sometimes you cannot find the full text article from text as there are so we use sci for these articles which are not we cannot find full text which we cannot find on PubMed. So this is the official website. You can enter your URL or GUI which is written when you open the article, you can find it URL. So this was about the literature talk. Moving on to the introduction writing. How to write a good introduction. What is basically the introduction? An introduction is the initial part of each discussion. So the reader is likely to read it first. So your introduction should give the definitions, notions, and other information required for the proper understanding of a paper presented or listed. So it should give your overall review about it. it should start with the broader context of issue and gradually narrow down to the actual research problem, which we commonly call as upside triangle model, which I will discuss in later. So how to write an introduction? Introduce your topic. First of all, introduce your topic. What are you going to search for? Then provide a background. The background research already has been done. Tell your reader about the research you plan to carry out. Then state your rationale. See, this is an upside triangle model. The broader aspect, then we are going to narrow down our perspective to write an introduction. So state your rationale, explain why your research is important, and then state your hypothesis, which is what topic. This is the model upside down. The base is on the up and the upside and the edges on the down. So on the base, on the initially you define our understanding of the world. What is known, what is already known. This means the background. You are going to fill in the background. Then what is unknown? What is the gap we want to fill? Then in the last part, you will define how and why should we fill that gap. You will then define your hypothesis and your topic. So there are four major components of information. There are four major components are background, importance, limitations, and assumptions. I will define each of these in detail with examples. So for that, you should remember these four components to write a good introduction, background, importance, limitations, and then assumptions. So how to write? What are the things to write a good introduction? Use the upside triangle method, which I have already explained, and mention the aim and importance. What is your aim and what is the importance of the research you are going to present? Then use citations wherever necessary, but do not overdo. So you do not use multiple citations to support one statement. Be clear about your hypothesis or research goals. So these are the tips to write a good introduction. Sometimes people use multiple references to support a statement, which is usually not a good side to write a good introduction. So this is an example. This article is was not read on subnet, so I used Science on website to open this whole article. So the topic of this article is chemical findings that take in post-neurosurgical bacterial meningitis diagnosis. This is the topic. So we will then I have put in this introduction into the four components of introduction I have already stated before. So first of all, background. If we read this introduction, it says the bacterial meningitis which after neurosurgical procedure is relatively uncommon, with an estimated incidence between 0.3% and 1.5%, following different individual injuries. However, it remains a significant problem associated with high morbidity and reported mortality rates ranging between 70 and 50%. So we have just provided the background of the of a topic, the researcher that has already been done. So this is the first part of the introduction. Then moving on to the importance. We have described the background. Now we will move on to the importance. Accurate and rapid diagnosis of bacterial meningitis is essential, since the infection outcome will depend on early and specific antibiotic therapy. Unfortunately, post-neurosurgical bacterial meningitis diagnosis is difficult. Bacterial and chemical meningitis have clinical symptoms such as neck stiffness, fever, constipation. So here we have defined the importance of a topic. Why it is important to evaluate the CSF for material manufactured. We have defined the importance. First of all, we define the background, the researcher already on that, and then we have defined the importance of this topic. Why are we doing it? What is the importance of CSF analysis for 4 years of material manufacturing? So these are the first two components. Then third component, what are the limitations? Limitations of CSF analysis. Gram staining and bacterial culture results are even more difficult to analyze since up to 50% of patients with clinical signs of meningitis have already received steroids or antibiotics. See, this is the limitation of CSF analysis. They have defined the limitation of this staining, and gram staining and bacterial culture results are even more difficult to analyze. Most of the patients have already taken antibiotics and steroids. Consequently, prolonged empiric antibiotic therapy is typically prescribed without posing further inflammation. Culture in patients presenting typical meningitis. We have described the limitations of CSF analysis. What are the limitations we will see in our clinical practice? Then, what are assumptions? What we have assumed, since we have defined the limitation of gram staining and bacterial culture, now moving on to our research, our assumption that CSF bacterial analysis will help in the diagnosis of all bacterial meningitis. So, at the end, we have defined our assumption. So, how do we write it? In this study, CSF lactate accuracy for post-neurological bacterial meningitis diagnosis was investigated prospectively and using a more strict definition of post-neurological. We have finally defined the assumption. So, see, this is the upside down. We have started at a broader aspect of the topic, then gradually narrowing down for. So this is how we write for introduction.
Thank you so much. That was quite enlightening. Now I'll be discussing materials and methods with you guys. Okay. First things first, the more articles you read, the more you will be able to understand how to write them. Just download 30 to 40 articles and go through them from page 1. When you read 40 introductions, 40 materials and methods, 40 conclusions, you will know exactly what the article demands you to write, how to construct sentences, and what voice to use. Now, moving on with the topic, I'll be discussing materials and methods in research. Now, what is the materials and methods? It is what you use in your research and how you use that in your research and how you conduct your research. Why is it important? It is important because it ensures that your research is credible and it helps the reader to reproduce your research. You know, if you have some limitations in your research, they might overcome those limitations and redo that research without those limitations. Now, obviously, the voice should be grammatically correct. You should use passive voice of simple past tense. It should be comprehensible, avoid irrelevant sentences. You should mention standard units of measurements and use international abbreviations. If you're using other abbreviations, you should mention their full form initially in their first mention. And the sequence of the paragraphs and subheadings in the research section should be the same as in the materials and methods section. Now, there are 5 components of materials and methods. They are the research design, population parameters, methods of data collection, ethical approval, and statistical analysis. Now, In the research design, you have to mention three things. Whether the design of your research, that is whether it's retrospective, prospective, observational, experimental, cross-sectional, randomized, double-blind, case control cohort, as discussed by Dr. Rahil previously. Apart from this, you have to also mention the study period and the location of the study. For example, in this study, which is retrospective analysis of brain abscess in 183 patients, they've discussed this component in 3 lines only. They've mentioned that we retrospectively reviewed patients diagnosed with brain abscess at the second affiliated hospital, GI University, February 27, 2008 and 2015. They've mentioned that their study design was retrospective. Where was this conducted? It was conducted at the second affiliated Hospital of VGI University School of Medicine, and the duration was between January 2008 and January 2018. For example, this for the second component, the population parameters, you have to mention your sample size. For this, it's best to consult a statistician because each study has a different formula to calculate the sample size. Now, in this, you have to mention the demographic characteristics like age, socioeconomic status, weight, height, and also you have to mention the inclusion and exclusion criteria. Like I said, the more inclusion and exclusion criteria you read, the more articles you read, the more you will know which patients to include in your studies and which not to. Like in the same study, they have mentioned that the demographic data, disease admission, predisposing factors, clinical manifestation, lesion location, metric proximity, size of the lesion, microbial findings, white cell count, and all this was mentioned in the population parameters. Now, in the inclusion criteria, they have mentioned that the inclusion criteria were the characteristics, CT and MRI findings with the evidence of brain abscess and the characteristics, CT and MRI findings with the clinical history and treatment response compatible with the brain abscess. All these patients were included in this study. And they have mentioned the exclusion criteria as well. Patients were excluded if the diagnosis of brain abscess was unclear, the abscess was epidural or subdural, and so on. Now, the third component is the methods of the data collection. In this, you have to mention where did you record your data and how did you record your data. In where did you record your data, you have to mention whether you used a questionnaire or performer, whether you interviewed your patients, whether you observed your patients, whether you conducted experiments, whether you phone called your patients, or whether you communicated via emails. How did you record your data? You have to mention the instruments that you use, any model number or brand. It is better that if you mention the brand or model that you use, for example, you use a CT scan machine for conducting any investigation. You have to mention the brand of that CT scan machine, the model, and also the specific parameters of the CT scan machine that you're using. Why this is important? This is important because this helps the researchers replicate your study and it also validates your research. Now again, in this, they've mentioned that they used, in the same article, they've mentioned that they used the ICD-10 discharge codes and all of their data was electronically recorded and they followed their patients after 1 year via telephone interview. Now, they've also mentioned, like in this, it's a little bit unclear that all the patients were initially started with the IV antibiotics and they were treated surgically if the abscess was greater than 2.5 centimeters, or if it was near an eloquent area, or if it was near the ventricles. Now, over here, they have mentioned clearly that when was the medical treatment started, when was the surgical treatment given, and when did they abort the medical treatment. We have mentioned all of this. Now, the fourth component is the ethical approval, which is really necessary these days. The approval from the ethics committee should be indicated with its registration number. You can mention this in one line only. Like for example, after approval of local ethics committee, this is the registration number. Informed consent forms from the patients were obtained, and a total of 176 cases with lower urinary tract symptoms were retrospectively evaluated between January 18 and December 12. In the same study, they have mentioned the ethical approval in the statistical analysis subheading. You can mention this separately as well. It depends on the journal, what they ask you. They've mentioned that written approval for this study was obtained from the ethics committee of VGI University School of Medicine. Now, finally, the statistical evaluations. Now, ideally, this section should be written by a statistician because honestly, I don't remember taking my stats class in the college days. So it's better that it's better to attend a course from a statistician so that we know properly how to write this section and to write it without difficulty. In this section, we have to mention the data analysis techniques that we have used, the analysis software that we have used, the type of analysis, and the p-value that you've set for your research. Now let's discuss a little bit about the p-value. Now there are two types of data: the qualitative data, which is the enumeration data. You cannot measure them. They include the number of males, number of MDR, TB cases, etc. The other is the quantitative data, which can be measured in numbers, and it has a mean. It has its mean and standard deviation. Now, the data that we collect, it has natural variation in it, natural or biological variation. Now, when an external force acts, it causes true variation. Now, how would we know whether this variation is natural variation or true variation? To conclude the actual difference, we use tests of significance. Now, like Dr. Rahil has already discussed, we set up a null hypothesis, and after that, we reject the null hypothesis when the difference is significant, and we accept it when the difference is not significant. Now, for that, we set the p-value. P-value decides whether the difference is significant or it's not. What is the p-value? It is the probability of null hypothesis being true. Practically, we use p-value of less than 0.05, which is 5%, which is considered significant. 0.05 implies that we may go wrong 5 out of 100 times by rejecting the null hypothesis. This means that out of 100 times, हम 5 दफा गलत होंगे. We can accept that. हम 4 दफा गलत होंगे, ये भी ठीक है. But अगर हम 6 दफा गलत होंगे, तो ये no, we cannot tolerate that. So 6 दफा है. So that is why we set the p-value. If we set the p-value of 0.01, then our research will be more authentic. Okay. Now, for the classification of tests of significance for qualitative data, we use the standard error of difference between two proportions or chi-square test. For quantitative data, we use the t-test or the paired or the unpaired t-test. Again, for this, we need a statistician because for different types of data, there are different tests of significance to get the p-values. Now, coming back to our research, our topic, in this article, they've mentioned that the categorical values were compared using the chi-square test. The chi-square test is used for qualitative data. And categorical values also known as the qualitative data. For continuous variables, they use the independent t-test, and the data was analyzed using the SPSS version 25. They have SPSS version 25, and the p-value was set at less than 0.05. Now, again, let's discuss another example in this topic. This is a topic where they have discussed the outcome of the endoscopic third ventriculostomy. In this, you can see that we will discuss all the 5 components separately. The first component where we have to discuss the research design. In this, they have mentioned that we retrospectively evaluated cases undergoing endoscopic third ventriculostomy due to hydrocephalus in Indiana, reviewed training and research, and Indiana City Hospital between 2008 and 2019. They've mentioned the study design, the location, and the duration of the study. Now, the second was the population parameters. The population parameters, they've mentioned that the study group comprised patients who exhibited clinical signs of increased intracranial pressure and who were diagnosed for the first time with hydrocephalus. They have also mentioned their exclusion criteria where the patients under 3 years of age were not included because of the presence of persistent open fontanelle and physiological differences. Now, for the third component, the method of data collection, they've mentioned that they use the MRI scans to diagnose the cause of the disease and also 3D magnetic resonance imaging. They've also mentioned that they followed the patients for at least 1 month, and those patients were included. And the post-operative duration of follow-up was calculated from the initial ETV to ETV or end of the follow-up period. Now, moving on with the fourth component, in the statistical analysis, they mentioned that the demographic characteristics were summarized in the series. The chi-square test was used for analysis of categorical values, and the p-value of less than 0.05 was considered statistically significant. And finally, the fifth component is the ethical approval. They mentioned it that they mentioned this separately in this article. All procedures were performed in studies involving human participants were in accordance with the ethical standards and institutional research committee. And they've also mentioned the registration number of the ethical committee. Now, to conclude, materials and methods section is the easiest part of the article to write. And like everything else, practice makes perfect. Read, 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 and you will eventually know how to write. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Sidra Khan to kindly come on stage to discuss how to calculate sample size, SPSS, and results.
The topic which I'm going to cover or I'm going to elaborate about the sample size, SPSS, and results. Sample size is very important because we don't know how many people we need to include or in our research articles. So the importance in sample size. Why calculation of sample size is important? Because we have a different type of studies, like retrospective, post-structure, cohort studies, cross-section studies. So we must know which type of first you need to identify which type of study you are doing, and the second thing is which formula is basically used for the calculate the sample size. When we talk about the sample size, so what is this? It defines as the number of individuals that are included in research. So you can represent your population in the research. Like I want to do the research in the incidence of hydrocephalus children age under 2 years and 5 years. So I include that in population. When you talk about the sample size, so it is basically the reference of the total number of respondents that are included in your study. And the second thing, we further broken down into the role of self-growth, depending upon the age and gender. The most important thing about the sample size is that when we are doing any statistical analysis, so determining the appropriate sample size is very important. There are a few terms that must be kept in the mind when you are calculating the sample size. The first thing is the confidence interval. We also call it as a margin of error. And what is the confidence interval? That is, it measures the degree of uncertainty and certainty, a sampling method, and how much the certainty within your particular statistics present. Basically, if in the layman term we can define it, the confidence interval is suppose I have 100% of a population, and if I think that the 60% of the people can present with a particular condition, so that 60% is my confidence interval. So confidence interval is basically calculated in the plus and then minus form. So I can take in the form like 54% till 66% of the people can present with my that expected result. The second thing is the confidence level. If we define about the confidence level, that it is the probability and the certainty of the confidence interval. What is the confidence level? As it means implied. When I give some exam or something else, so I'm confident enough that I will be passing that exam. So the same goes into it, like if I'm doing any research, I have confidence that I will get a 95% of that answer. That will be in my favor. So my research will be accepted or it will be a beneficial for the patient. That is my confidence level over my research. So if I call like a 95%, I'm confident on my research, so my confidence level will be 95. What is the standard deviation? At its name implies deviations. So when we calculate about the variables in our research, so it is the standard deviation that estimates our response of the variance over here. That how the one variable is different from the other and what is the significance of that variations. If we talk about the population size in the sample size, so we cannot take the whole world or we cannot take the whole department in our research. We categorize the department like we are doctors, then again in the doctors summarize like split in the circle like the house officer, rotational PTs or private PT. So like this, the population size is very important to draw your conclusion and your research results. When we talk about the population size, then we take it as the total known population and then the unknown population in your entire like in your whole department. When we talk about the sample size calculation, so it basically depends the type of the study, your magnitude and outcome of interest, and that is your previous that is derived from the previous studies. What will be your type of statistical analysis and required? What mean by required? That is to compare your means and your proportions with each other. And in the end, that is the level of significance. When you are doing the sample size, what is the significant margin over there? Then we can calculate the sample size for the different type of proportions. Then first we will do for the single proportions, then we will deliver two or then the group. So when we calculate the sample size for the simple proportion, then it depends upon the prevalence of the condition and its level of confidence and its margin of error. So the confidence interval, the confidence level and the prevalence of the condition. Like in this example, when we calculate calculation for the single proportion, like it is basically an example in which a local health department wishes to estimate the prevalence of hydrocephalus among the children under the 2 years of age in the family. Then how many children should be included in the sample? We can calculate. So the prevalence can be estimated with a 5% of point, and I am confident that I will get a 95% of result between these two. And if it is known, then truly rate is unlikely to exceed about the 20%. So how I can calculate? I take the performer over there, I put my values like confidence interval 95%, then this anticipated population portion of 20% which I have taken, and then absolute precision that is required, that is 0.05%, and I will put this into the formula and that will give me an answer. Then the second is the sample size for the single group, but mean depends on the mean of the condition interest, again the level of confidence and the margin of error. Again, another example that it needs there will be a district medical officers in which we can calculate the mean total consideration amongst the two figures. So, in the previous studies of the pregnant women showed the average hemoglobin will be 8.2 till 8.2, and there will be a standard deviation of 4.2%. Then, assuming the sample to be selected, like and how many of pregnant women must be studied if we want to estimate the fall in one and is 95%. So I'm confident that my the estimated fall of the hemoglobin will be 1 gram per deciliter, and with my confidence interval of 95 and the standard deviation of 4.2 grams. So again, I will put all these factors in the formula, like confidence level of 95%, then absolute prediction value will be 1, then I will calculate relative precision will be added, then standard population that deviations will be calculated for 4.2%, and then population value. Again, we'll put all these into this formula and then calculate our sample size. It is previously we done the single portion, then it is the two proportions defined. Again, we have two, the most common is level of confidence. The second would be the power of the test and the prevalence of the condition. Again, we have another example for this in which we have believed that the proportion of the patient who developed complication after undergoing a one type of a surgery is 5%. And then the proportion of the patient who developed the complication after the second type of surgery will be the 15%. Then we need to calculate that how large the sample size we need between in these of the whole group and to detect a power of 90%. Whether the second procedure has a complication rate significance will be 5%. So in both of the procedure, they have given us the level of the significance and the power. Nothing is difficult. All about the mathematics that we need to put all these equations levels into the equation. That the level of significance, your power value, and you put up into the formula and you will get the sample size. Another thing would be the two-group mean dependent, in which again we calculate the same factors, the variance, the level of confidence, and the power. Again, in this, we need to calculate about the systolic blood pressure between the mean age group, and we have the power of 80% till 95%, and we need to put up into the equations. That is the confidence level of the 95% between the group 1 and group 2, and we need to enter your differences. The most important thing about the calculation of the sample size between the two main group is you have the confidence interval, you have the power, and you know the ratio of the sample size between the first and the second group. That is important. So in this, if you can see the standard standard deviation of 15.34%, the variance of 235. So by doing all this stuff, you will get the sample size of the group 1 will be 152, and the sample size for the group 2 will be 152, and your total sample size will be a 304. The important thing is to calculate the sample size for the sensitivity and specificity. And it depends upon the prevalence of the condition, how sensitive that condition, your estimated sensitivity, your estimated specificity, level of significance, and your marginal error. In this, we have given the examples that if I need to determine the significance, sensitivity, and specificity of a CV cystinogram diagnosis of a CSFB, then how many patients I want to include in this sample size. So the prevalence of the CSFB is 77%, and estimated sensitivity of the cystinogram is 96.5% sensitive, and its specific is 94.1. And I'm taking a confidence interval of 95, and if we want to keep the marginal error as 10. So nothing difficult, you have to check if your expected sensitivity was 0.97%, that's 0.9, and specificity is 90.94%, your prevalence was 77%, and the estimated power was 2, and your confidence level was 95. How you can put the confidence interval? We have a Z-score about the confidence interval. So the every confidence interval has its own value in the decimal. So you can put the value over there, and you will get your desired results or your desired sample size. We have multiple websites of the suggested website in which we can enter our data and we can calculate the appropriate sample size calculator. We have RASOF, we have quantitative skills, and we have OpenAP. Important is OpenAP, you can easily use it and you can calculate your sample size. That is the first half of the presentation. Now the second half of the presentation is SPSS. It is very important because we need to know about how to enter the data in the SPSS. What SPSS is known as is the statistical package of the social sciences, and previously it was separate, and now it is owned by the IBM company, and nowadays we are using the software version 24, and it is also known as the predictive analytics software. Why this software is used, all the questionnaires on the performance that we are taking from the for a different research from different population, and in short what the performance we get. We all we code this into we code all our variants or our questions into a different variable in the static in our data. And it is for the data analysis in any type of research, in the medical research, in the health department, in the business side, any type. And you can use for the processing questionnaire and reporting in the table and gap. And further that you can analyze your research and try it with the help of the mean, tax brackets, deviations, normalization, and descriptive analysis. When you code in the data in the SPS, then you convert your questions into the variables. And you have the name of the variables, you label the variables, and you give the values, and in the end, you measure your level of functions. These are the some snapshots which are taken from the SPSS window. So when you open the SPSS, you will get this window first. And in the bottom of the window, you can see you have the two things, that is a data view and a variable view. These are, and in the second picture, we have in the first picture, we have a variable view. So in the variable view, you have to enter your variables. The 1, 2, 3, 4, you have variables. Suppose I have first variable is age. So I will include write the age over there. And the second, then the age, height, weight, then you add the different variables in it. Then you have to give the description of that variable. Which type of a variable is it? How big you want to include the decimal into it or not? Your variable labels, your values of the variable, and if there is any missing, what is the significance of this missing? If you are entering the data and you have the total sample size of 334, and if you enter and in the end if you calculate, then they can give you alarm that you can miss one, like if you have 234 and you are getting 233, so it can predict and tell you that you are missing one data. Then in the column alignment and the majors. Majors like if I have the age, so it can tell us either it is included in the age, the stage, nominal, or the numeric data. Then the SES data, if we talk about then the variable, we have the name, we have the type, that either it's a numeric type or the scale, the label, values, we can code the answer, and the major in the end, we can measure the data. Then we have the menu of the SPSS, that is for analysis. First we calculate the frequencies, then cross graphs, and the tables that in the end that. We can also work in the form of the graphs, in which we can do the bar, pie chart, histogram, line, and the box plots. These are the running of descriptive statistical analysis, in which we will replace the descriptive that will click onto the frequencies, and then in the end you can measure your measure the central tendency of your research or the data. And the most commonly statistic that we use is the descriptive statistics. For the frequencies, suppose we have the list variables, that is we have the name, gender, age, and age. So if I need to identify the frequency, so I will take the number of the listeners, I will put this center button, and then I will click onto the statistics or OK, so I will get this frequency analysis. If I want a cross tab between two variables, so the first I will put a gender variable in the first column, and then second, if I want to look for the variance in their age, so I will put in the other column, and then we'll press the open button, and it will tell us the intersection between the two variables. When I need to select the case, so I will filter out and specify the variable that I want to use and select for the case function, and then we'll press the open button. So in the end, the solution or the selected case file will be. There is another option of the splitting files. So the splitting files function will be used when you need to get the response or the performance between the two of the variables. Then you can go for the splitting file functions, in which you can split both of the files, and then you can compare the both group, so you can result as the splitting files. Then in end, what we will get, so that we have the test of the significance, we'll go for the null hypothesis as previously Dr. Alpha had described. Then we need for the running a test of the significance, we will have the correlation for pair sample t-test and independent. T-test is basically that we need to get our answer between the two variables. What do you mean by the pair and the dependent or independent? That depend on the one factor, and that depend on the two or four factors. Then we have the running multiple responses set, in which we can get the frequencies and cross them between the any two files, and in the end we can merge the data files with each other, so we can make a perform on the exact data. In this we can use a chi-square test, that is test of goodness of good. We can use the one-way analysis of the variation. We can use the two-way analysis of variation. If you are using the one-way analysis of variation, and if you identify the different variables over there and difference in the result, like a new 1, 2, 3, so you can use the post hoc test after this, so that you can get your adequate or accurate results. Then you can go for the two-way analysis of the variation. You can import and export your file from the Excel sheet, and you can also transfer this data file into your Excel sheet or your Word sheet, so you can make a perfect format of it. You can use the scripting and the predictive analytics software as statics as well. These are the using of a chi-square test, in which we include the days of the over there, and we skip Sunday and Saturday, and then you need to identify the average daily report. So you can click on your average daily, enter button, and then you can do the OK. So you can get your answer. One way of ANOVA, you can enter the patient and you can add the OK button, so you can allow it to get the one-way ANOVA test. Then you can go for the post hoc test for the simpler patient. If you know that this one-way ANOVA is rejected and you want more specific differences between them and your variables, then you can go for this post hoc test. That in this you can import and export your data into the analytics software by using an Excel sheet. And you can export your data, you click on your PowerPoint presentation, and you can take it from there. By using the scripting and the predictive software, so you can capture the command that are used repeatedly, and you can simplify the working on with your multiple analysis, and you can also use a different data files for your writer and you can import for your analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sudha. That was quite informative. Next, I would like to call Dr. Nicola to tell us about how to write discussion, conclusion, and references.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to discuss how to write the references. What is a reference style? Reference style is the act of referencing, in which a reference style is a specific format of presenting in text in the form of the footnote and a bibliograph. Reference is an act of referencing someone or something. Why we need a reference? We need a reference is to avoid plagiarism. What is plagiarism? A plagiarism is just an act of incorporating the other views or other ideas into your own work without acknowledging the others. So by using the reference, what we do, we incorporate the other work into our article. Simultaneously, we acknowledge their works. And it shows the breadth of the research. The more and more references in our article means that it shows the depth of the study to then get the conclusion in our research. And to acknowledge the direct quotes. It's mean to acknowledge the direct quotes again means it avoid the plagiarism. It provides the direct evidence to support our argument. It means that when in our research article, if we deduct some certain result, nobody is going to believe in our result. So in order to give a support to our argument, we need an evidence in the form of the research article, in the form of the books, or in the form of the other journal books. So for that evidence, we need a reference and allow the reader to verify the data. So with references, the reader will verify whatever we say. They can verify by using these references. There are different types of references. These are the source of references: journal references, book references, and the internet references. The internet references is the least authentic, while the book references and the journal references are the most authentic types of references. And there are different elements of the references, in which we include the author name, the article title, the journal name. It could be journal name, it could be a book name or internet reference. Then the year of publication of that particular article, volume of the book or the journal, and the page number. Now, different styles of writing references. There are two different types of the articles. One is Harvard, another is Wincore. We will discuss only these two. Other are the American Psychological Association style, MLA style, the Chicago Manual of style, and the Royal Society of the Chemistry style. But we will discuss only these two, Wincore and Harvard style. The Harvard style of referencing. In Harvard style, there is actually a little difference between the Harvard and Wincore. In Harvard, what we do, we just write the author name followed by its initial name. Just say, for example, if an article is written by Rahil Gohar, how we will write his name? We will write the name Gohar first, then the first letter of the first name is near Rahil in capital form. Then the year of publication. In hardware style, the year of publication is followed by the name of the author. Then it is followed by the article title in the single quotation, single comma. Then full stop. Then the name of the journal in italic form, which is followed by the volume, followed by the comma, then the issue number in a bracket. This issue number is very specific for every reference, and then the page number. Now, the author surname followed by the first name of the author, then the surname, first name. This is the year of publication in the bracket, then the title name of the article, then the journal name. This journal name must be written in the italic form, then the issue number and the page number. This is the example of the hardware references. These all are the author of that article. This is the second name of the author. This is the first letter of the first name in a capital form. Then we have a comma. Then this is the second author. Then this is the year of publication. This must be written in bracket. Then this is the title of the article in a single quotation. This is the single quotation. Antioxidant activity of the apple peel. Then this is the source from which that article has been taken, which is the Journal of Agriculture and the Food Chemistry, and this must be written in the italic form. Then this is the volume of the journal. This is the issue number. This must be written in the bracket form, and this is the page number. This is another example. This is the author name. This is the year of publication in a bracket. Then this is the title, nursing ethics, and this is the reference from which we take that article. This is the Irish cases and concern. This is the book of that. This is the book from which that article has been taken, and this is the second edition of that book, and that has been written in the particular city called Dublin, and this is the publication name. And sometimes a research article has been conducted by a particular corporate body or an institution. So in this case, rather than writing the name of the researcher, we just use the name of that council or corporate body of that council. For example, there is a certain council called the Cancer Council who conducted a research on the causes of the breast cancer in 2017. So instead of writing the author name, we use the Cancer Council. This is the year of the publication, and this is the title of the article, cause of the breast cancer, and this is the reference from which that article has been taken. This is the Cancer Council, and that has been viewed in 2018, and this reference has been found in the internet. So initially we said that the reference can be taken from the journal, the book, or the internet. This is the example of the internet reference. This is the example of the internet references. This is also another example of the internet references in which a particular corporate body has conducted a research. So rather than writing the name of the author, we use that institution name, then the year of the research. Then this is the actual title, article title, graduate research, and this is the source from which we can find that article. And this is the one way. This is the least authentic type of the reference, the internet reference. Then the second one is Vencore. In Vencore, again, we start with the author name, the surname followed by the first letter of the initial name. But in hardware, after that we use the year of research. In Winco, we followed the title of the article with a double quotation, double comma. Then the name of the journal in abbreviated form. For example, this is the British Journal of Surgery. So in Winco, we were not supposed to write the full name like British Journal of Surgery. We have to write the BJS. Similarly, the Journal of Neurosurgery, you are not supposed to write the full name. We have to just write the JNS. Then date of the publication followed by double quotation. In hardware, this date of publication is right there, but in Winco, it is written after the title of the journal. Then the same volume number, issue number in bracket, then the page number. Now this is the Winco. This is the reference number. These all are the authors. This is the second name and the first letter of the first name. This is the second name and the first letter of the first name. After that, this is the title of the article, Clinical Immunology. And then this is the reference for which it has been taken, the principle and the practice. And this is the 5th edition, which has been written in this particular city, Amsterdam. And this is the publication, and this is the year of the publication. This is another example. This is the author name. This is the article title, tamoxifen as an endurance stuff. And this is the journal for which this has been taken. This is in the abbreviated form. The full form is the Journal of National Cancer Institution. And this is the year of publication 2018. And this is the volume number. And in bracket, we have a issue number, and this is the page number in which we find. Now, sometimes the number of the author exceeds the 6 authors. So we are only allowed to write down the first 6 authors, and when the number is exceeds 6, then we at the end of the 6th author we use the et al. It means that there are many other authors beside these 6 authors. Then this is the title of this is the article title. This one is the article title, and this is the reference. And the full form of that reference is the chemical biology and drug design. And this is the abbreviated form. And this has been conducted in 2016. And that is the publication here. That is the volume number. In bracket, we have the issue number. This issue number is very specific for the particular article. And this is the page number. And that is the reference. In this website, we can find this article. Now, discussion. We explain the result in detail. We elaborate any unusual result. We compare your result with the previous research. What is your deduction? And describe the lesson learned and your recommendation for the future best, and practice and hypothesis approving or disapproving. Actually, it has 3 paragraphs. 1, 2, and 3. In first paragraph, we actually discuss our main result. What we have done so far in particular article and what result we have conducted from that. Then in second article, we compare our result with the previous studies. And then we will discuss the unanswered question, or we will find a new things. Then in the last paragraph, what we will do, we will just open the gate for the future discussions. For example, in our particular research, there are so many aspects which are unanswered. So we open the gate for the other people to answer that unanswered questions. Just say, for example, we conduct a study on traumatic brain injury in which we use a certain biomarker, GFAP level, as a predictor for the traumatic brain injury. And the two parameters against that we use are the CT scan brain and the GCS score. At the end of our research, we find that the GFAP has an excellent predictor for the initial traumatic brain injury, which has been proven on CT scan within 24 hours. This is our first result. And the second result is it also correlates with the initial GCS. For example, if the initial GCS is very low, for example, if it is in moderate or severe range, so it means that the GFAP level will be increased by 10-fold compared to the moderate GCS. For example, 13 to 15. So this is our result. It means that the GFAP level is a good prognostic factor for the severe traumatic brain injury if we compare with the CT scan and the initial GCS score. This is our result. This we have written in the first paragraph. Now, the previous study has also been conducted about the another biomarker, which is called S100B. So in our research, we found that the GFAP is far more superior in predicting the outcome when we compare with the S100B biomarker. So in this paragraph, we compare it with the previous study. So in this study, we find out that our research for this biomarker is far superior than this previous marker. So this has to be written in the second. But there is a certain shortcome in our research. That is, this is only applicable in the adult one. And in the pediatric population, we needed to do further research. So this is the shortcome in our research. So this has been written in the third paragraph. So just to encourage the other people to work on that one, whether this biomarker is applicable on the pediatric population or not, the way it is applicable on the adult group. Then conclusion. In the conclusion, it clearly states the answer to the main research questions. It summarizes and reflects on the research, and it makes the recommendation for the future work on the topic. It shows what new knowledge we have contributed to the society. The conclusion should be concise and engaging, and aim is to leave the reader with a clear understanding of a main discovery or argument that your research has advanced. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Now I would like to invite our guest speaker, Dr. Masood Hussain, who is a consultant neurosurgeon at the Hull University Teaching Hospital in UK. He is an active member at our teaching sessions especially during exams, and never hesitates to take out time to provide us with his best guidance and overseas experience. Sir, kindly shed light on how to publish research.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Sir, you can share your presentation.
नहीं कोई presentation मैंने बनाई नहीं है, sorry. I'll just speak.
Okay.
So you don't have any slide to look at. You have to look at me, unfortunately. So you can hear me clearly?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, Lara.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम। कहाँ पे?
वालेकुम सलाम।
सर कैसे आप?
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, अल्लाह का शुक्र है।
अच्छा, मसूद साहब के बारे में मैं बताऊं आपको, सर एक मिनट में दे दें। यानी मसूद साहब की ट्रेनिंग यहाँ से हो गई है 2002 में, आई थिंक आपने एफसीपीएस पास किया था, एंड ही वाज अ वेरी फेमस ट्रेनी हियर यहाँ पे CR भी थे और जुमा साहब थे, बिल्कुल राइट हैंड सब कुछ उनके हवाले था। उसके बाद वो उन्होंने सऊदी में काम किया और फिर आजकल ही इज अ कंसल्टेंट, रेगुलर कंसल्टेंट इन द रिसर्च डिपार्टमेंट इन हेल्थ लीड यूके। मसूद साहब वो यहाँ पे हमारे पास एक विजिटिंग कंसल्टेंट भी है ऑफिशियली इन आवर डिपार्टमेंट, और हमारे वार्ड की टीचिंग में इनका बड़ा अच्छा रोल है। यानी जब भी कोई चीज़ होती है हम जरूर उनको फ़ोन करते हैं, उनसे पूछते हैं, और जब भी वो आते हैं हमारे पास यहाँ पे तो जरूर हम कोई ना कोई नई चीज़ उनसे सीखते हैं। तो इसलिए मसूद साहब का यहाँ पे होना और हमें पढ़ाना और चीज़ें समझाना, जी इट इज़ एन ऑनर फॉर अस। तो आप लोग गौर से सुन लें, जो भी कहेंगे, जो पढ़ाएंगे, जो बताएंगे। जी सर।
थैंक यू वेरी मच ताल रहमान साहब, आपने तो बहुत अच्छी अच्छी बातें कर दी मेरे बारे में। ये आपकी मोहब्बत है बस। अच्छा, so just one part of the my own introduction is about today's teaching is that I am the reviewer for Pakistan Journal of Neurosurgery. I am reviewer for British Journal of Neurosurgery. I am reviewer for World Journal of Neurosurgery of WFNS, and also for AO Journal, which is Global Spine Journal. I'm mentioning all this because I have the first-hand experience of reviewing the articles, and of course, I lead the research in my own department as well. So I see how the people do the research and what are the plus and minus to have a successful publication in a journal. तो आप लोगों ने तो माशाल्लाह से सारा आज का वर्कशॉप ख़त्म पे ही है, लेकिन आई थिंक यू माइट हैव गॉन टू द through the definition of the research itself. So we do audit, we do so many other things. So how we distinguish the research from other studies we do in our medical practice. So there are a lot of definitions for research, but one of them I like is it is a creation of new knowledge or use of existing knowledge in a new creative way to generate new concept, understanding or methodology. तो ये बहुत important चीज़ है when you come to the question of how to publish your research. एक और definition है, वो कहती है कि जी it should be the one which affects the bigger society or generally the bigger part of the world. So that comes into the research as well. And being a nation from Southeast Asia and having a distinctive background, many people blame us that we are not contributing much to the benefit of the humanity by research or these kind of activities. So the first question comes after we know what is research. Do we need to do the research? I think एक चीज़ इसमें यह है कि आप लोग FCPS की रिक्वायरमेंट में मेरे ख्याल में रिसर्च है. आई थिंक 2 पब्लिकेशन करनी होती है शायद, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग लाल साहब. 2 करनी होती है ना, तो एक तो ये हो गया. तो ये तो एक आपके लिए एक मसला है, यानी कि आपको करना ही है, उसके बगैर तो हो ही नहीं सकता. Is it just for one time off you do the research and finish off? No, you should continue doing. This is a lifelong process. You keep doing the things, and of course sharing your experience with the other colleagues which may help them. And of course हमारे पास as a JPMCN we have a vast number of patients and experience to share with the whole world, where they don't see that many pathologies, that many varieties, that many cases, and they don't have the opportunity, just unfortunately. But on the research side, it is a positive thing. Just take the example of head injury. You may not be aware of, but head injury wise in UK where I live, we have probably with great difficulty 1 or 2 cases of head injury in a whole week. लेकिन आप लोगों के यहाँ तो हर रात मेरे ख्याल में 5-6 केसेस ऑपरेट हो रहे होते हैं. माइनर हेड इंजरी तो डिफरेंट है. तो वी हैव लॉट ऑफ रिसोर्सेज and support to do the research, and we should show the world that we are capable and we can do that. Now coming to the how to publish it. So as we go into the back to the definition, that it should be something novel, should be something new, and this is one thing which as a journal editor or reviewer we look at it. So before going to the publication, there are a few things which you need to consider. One thing we should know how much time it takes to write a paper. So usually you should give a lot of time to yourself. कुछ लोगों में जो है natural capability होती है and they are good writer, so they write papers very quickly. But it is a long process where I divide it into 3 parts. You have to collect the data, which takes its own time. Then you have to write it with literature search and everything. And then there is another thing which you don't have the control at all, which you submit the article and then of course it will be reviewed and published in its own time. So just keep in mind that it takes time. So it's not like you just sit in 15 days and you do it. And there are certain phases where there are no much control you can on your hand, you cannot change it. Another thing which you need to know, how much time it takes to get published after the submission. This is one thing which you need to understand, and of course you can look at it. So many of the journal, they will tell you on their website that how much time they take. So like World Neurosurgery, they give a reviewer 2 weeks time to review. If they don't do it, they take it back from them. So 2 weeks and they decide it. British Journal of Neurosurgery, unfortunately, at the moment is very slow. So it takes long time, like 6 months or more. So you need to know what is their time of review, and that will help you with that KG where to submit your publication. You need to know about index journal and impact factor as well, if you know that. Does anybody know what is impact factor is? So impact factor and indexing make the journal more reliable, more prestigious. So indexing, basically anybody can be indexing, because index means it is gone through a process of review and it fulfills all the criteria to being a good journal. So journals who are indexed and those who have a good impact factor. Impact factor basically is a calculation based on the citations in previous 2 years. So those who are very reliable and good journals, they have a very high impact factor, and publishing into those are difficult. So like in New American Journal, they have like indexing of 4. Lancet is 4 plus. World Neurosurgery is 2 point something. Our British journal is 1.5 or something like that. So more prestigious, more article is valued, and of course it is more cited. You can enroll yourself with a ResearchGate, which give your article more visibility, and of course it give you some ranking of your research credibility as well. So ये चीज़ें तो कर ली हम, ठीक है. अब सवाल ये है कि जी and a few other things when you're writing the journal publication to consider, like sample size, what should be the topic, because these will be the important thing to give you insight whether it is publicable or not, publicable or not, or whether it will be easily published and accepted. तो अगर for example if you are doing traumatic head injury and contusion and you choose a sample size of 10 or 20, it will not be enough. Then you have to have a bigger sample size. लेकिन अगर आप कहते हैं कि जी thoracic discectomy पे कर रहा हूँ मैं या brain stem tumor पे कर रहा हूँ, तो then small sample size will be enough. I have spoken to a lot of people, and of course probably you people are aware, and you many of them you do it as well. Like unfortunately, like people manipulate the numbers and sample size, but this is of course not a good practice. This will mislead the information you submit, which will remain into the database, and of course it will, many times we know that it is numbers are skewed, and we know the author is not genuine, and that give a bad impression to the institute and the trainee itself. So please try to avoid that, because if you do something genuinely and truthfully, then of course that goes a long way. There is no shortcut in anything in the world. So if you try to have the shortcuts, then you will end up in a mess at the end. Now, choosing the topic. So as we go to the like novelty and acceptance, then choosing a topic very wisely is very important as well. Now this is the era of big data, so people go for a big data nowadays. So if I publish an article, but if I produce or present it in a different way, the same article can have the more chances of getting published. आवाज आ रही है आप लोगों को?
सर थोड़ा सा माइक करीब कर लें.
मेरा तो माइक ये वाला, एक सेकंड. अब आ रही है? अब आ रही है आवाज?
सर आपकी आवाज कम आ रही है.
अब आ रही है या नहीं? Is that okay?
सर सर अभी आप बात करें.
अभी कैसी है? अब
सर आप बात करें.
सर आपकी तरफ से शायद म्यूट है सर, आप चेक करें. सर कैन यू कनेक्ट अगेन? सर आपके हैंड्स फ्री या तो उसमें कनेक्टेड नहीं है शायद, क्योंकि आवाज जो ना शो भी नहीं कर रहा उस सिग्नल से.
अभी आ रही है?
जी सर अब आ रही है. थैंक यू.
अब आ रही है आवाज?
जी सर आ रही है.
हेलो, अब आ रही है?
माइक लूज हुआ हुआ
माइक
कभी टाइट होता है ना
20 सेकंड बाद
बात की आवाज आ रही है।
सर आपकी आवाज आ रही है।
आ रही है ना? ठीक है।
बात कीजिए ना।
Is that okay?
वो तुमने बंद नहीं किया था चैनल इसका यूट्यूब। कहाँ चल रहा है वो तो उसके बाद डबल
हेलो
सर अगर रिकनेक्ट करने का
हेलो जनाब। हेलो
डबल चल रहा है।
हेलो हेलो वालेकुम सलाम।
ये तो पता नहीं उसके बाद डबल
जी सर हो गया। हेलो हेलो वालेकुम सलाम।
हेलो
जी सर चले सर।
So you are connected now. You can speak.
मैंने तो उसको
माइक सही जा तो माइक उधर से वो नहीं कुछ हो देता
हेलो हेलो
Yes sir.
मैं इस पे बात करना चाहता
Yes sir.
हेलो
Sir we can hear you.
आ रही है अब आवाज?
Yes sir.
चले गुड। तो ठीक है जी, किधर थे हम? मेरे ख्याल में काफ़ी बातें कर ली मैंने, लेकिन एक बस आखिरी बात तो रह गई थी, वो ये कि जी हाउ टू मेक इट मोर अट्रैक्टिव फॉर द जर्नल टू बी आर्टिकल टू बी गेट पब्लिश। तो इसमें दो तीन चीज़ें होती हैं। नंबर वन, एक तो पहले आप सबमिशन से पहले जो जर्नल है उसमें देखें कि वहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, और इंटरनेट सर्च करके देखें कि दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है। इफ़ दैट whatever concept you have is already been published and written many times, then chances of it getting accepted in a good journal will be very less. As we said, it should be a new knowledge or contribution to existing knowledge. एक तो ये बात हो गई। दूसरी बात ये कि what will be the topic. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मैं कॉडा एक्विना पे कोई रिसर्च लिखना चाह रहा हूँ और मैं कहता हूँ कि जी दिस इज माय रिसर्च अबाउट कॉडा एक्विना, this will be one topic, but if I put it as like 200 cases of Cauda equina syndrome, that will give a different impression. For example, अगर कोई फर्ज करें अफगानिस्तान से लिखता है हेड इंजरी के ऊपर या फायर आर्म इंजरी के ऊपर कोई आर्टिकल, and it says believe me, like if it says firearm injury in Afghanistan during 5 years period, and somebody else put it the same article with a different topic saying 5 years not the firearm injury cases during the Taliban regime, probably that will attract more attention of the journal and reviewers and everybody. So how you present it is also very important. So these are my suggestions. If you have any questions, please ask. I think I have taken your 15-20 minutes already. So that's whatever came to my mind, I have shared with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. किसी कोई क्वेश्चन है तो बहुत ओके। और आपने काफी अच्छी बातें की और वेरी इंफॉर्मेटिव डिस्कशन बढ़ी। हमने एक वर्कशॉप अरेंज की थी अपनी पब्लिक देखे होंगे।
जी
Now as you mentioned, we can write 2 papers in our presentation. These are very important in our CV in our future. So we have started now papers writing on the next presentation. That is why we have arranged a workshop. And you know that there's a lot of work and a lot of questions.
Exactly. You remember we have done one epidermoid one together, and I would suggest if I can be of any help and we can do something together again, we will be very happy to.
Inshallah, always. Thank you so much. और मैं महसूस है कि मैंने एक चीज बताऊं, when I was doing my presentation for a process, तो रात को मैं उनको फोन करते था, और उन्होंने पहले सिनेरियो बना चुके होते, और वो टाइम जो ना तो 20-25 मिनट में काफी होता था, कभी आपको महसूस हुआ है होता था, तो मेरे प्रिपरेशन में काफी निकाल दिया lot. इसमें मेरा ग्रेड मैं उनको देता हूँ कि मेरे एफर्ट्स पर्सनली महसूस है बहुत। Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.